Good evening. Well, welcome to one another episode between me here in Oroville, Bala,
Hi,
and
and Marina.
Marina sitting in Poland. Yeah.
Welcome to session
Oh,
2.
welcome to session two. We both are in different countries, but we realize that there is with online everything is a possibility there. So today is episode two. I think in this episode mostly I will talk a bit because we are going to talk about the background of why Gita and what is Gita and where it is appearing in the Hindu chronology and stuff like that. So as you know that the Hindu chronology, the main base of everything that we have is the Vedas, and after that Upanishads came, and after Upanishads there are many versions of this. There are many subdivisions, and then there are two big Puranas we call the Itihasas. That means like Iliad or like Iliad, those kind of things. We have two of them. One is Ramayana, and the other one is Mahabharata. So Mahabharata means Maha, big, Bharata, the nation of the nation of India. The official name of India in Hindi, as in the Republic of India is official name of India in English, and in Hindi it is Bharatiya Ganrajya. So Bharata is the official name of India we use, and now the politicians are talking that India should name its change from India to Bharat. So so the whole of India is called Bharat. So the story about India, the story about Bharata is what Mahabharata is about. Of course, the story dates back. We don't know because there is two versions of the story. Because you always, as you know, that most of the Indian traditions are always Guru Shishya. That means somebody is telling and somebody is listening. So it's not written down. So when it is written down, is kind of comprehensible because of the style of the text and the food and the plant and those kind of things that was available during that time. So we were able to detect when it was written down. But when was the original story happened, whether it was a story or it was a myth, it kind of we don't know about this story because it's really really a long time ago. So they say Mahabharata happened at the end of the end of the third yuga, that is Tirtha Yuga, uh, at the beginning of the Kali Yuga, the present Yuga. So we talk about yugas one another video because it's a very big and huge subject actually. uh, it is in this Mahabharata that Gita appears actually. So to tell the story of Mahabharata in two lines, which is next to impossible, because we learn it because the story of Mahabharata goes story within a story. So you start a story, and then there is one character appears, and he has a backstory, and that in one of the character appears a backstory, and the backstory keeps going on until all the thing is finished, and you come back into the story, and then the story follows, and then there is something else, and then there is always a backstory. So story within a story within a story. So you go by as a spiral. So you start at the same point, you end at the same point, but maybe one circle inside. So when you read Mahabharata, it's to go inside. Maybe you're starting at the same point and ending at the same point in a two-dimensional perspective. But if you look from the third dimensional perspective, you have gone 1 micromillimeter inside when you go on 1 micromillimeter in depth. So this is the context of Mahabharata, as in the writing style of Mahabharata. And then Gita appears as a discussion between Krishna, the incarnation of Mahavishnu, the provider, the sustainer of life, the second of the three Indian Hindu trinities, as you might know, and Arjuna, one of the five Pandavas. So the word Pandavas will appear mostly in Mahabharata because as I was telling, Gita is part of the whole story of Mahabharata. Mahabharata is the life of two rival, not two two branches of the family. So one branch of the family are called Kauravas, and the other branch of the family is called Pandavas. So the battle between these two people are called Mahabharata. So basically, it's first cousins. It's the sons of two brothers, Pandu. The Pandu sons are called Pandavas, and his brother Dhritarashtra, his son, are called Kauravas. So these two people fight for a piece of land, which is Bharata. And then in that, when the fight is about to begin at the battlefield, which is the name of the battlefield is Kurukshetra, it's where the Gita begins actually. So when you look at it, when you look at this, the the fight happens between two blood relatives actually, because they are just first cousins actually. So the fight that is happening in our day-to-day life with ourselves, the most important fight that we have at the moment is with ourselves. We are our own relative and we are our own enemy. So because they were relatives also, but they have become their sworn enemies though. So we can, so if you are not having right relationship with yourself, you could become your own enemy. So this is the way the Mahabharata war has been shown or has been portrayed into us. And it is in this context that Gita appears in as a discussion between Krishna and Arjuna. The thing about Mahabharata, the thing about Gita is like there is, as I was mentioning, it's not like a one linear story. You start at one story and then the next story doesn't come. The story is in circle within a circle. So most of when you start at one point, you somehow end up in a spiral that you are not even aware, because you just don't go in 2 dimension. You also go 3 dimension. So sometimes when I talk, I don't know where I started and I'm somewhere else. So if there is any questions, you're always welcome to stop me, answer, and then ask me questions. And then, so it is in this context that the Bhagavad Gita is appears actually. And then the word Bhagavad means Bhagavadam, the God, the God, yeah, Gita, the song. So basically, the Bhagavad Gita is roughly translated as the songs of gods, or the words of God, the immortal songs of God. So and it is done in a context of a battlefield. It is 700 slokas. Slokas means poems. A lines which is more than the minimum is 2 lines. The maximum is going to be, I think, 16 lines. I'm not very sure exactly about this number, but they're just numbers. We don't have to go to that detail. So this happens at the beginning of the war, when the war is going to happen. At that moment, one army is on one side and the other army is on the other side. So they are about to take the first arrow shot, because it was a time of arrows and chariots and elephants that's been fighting with them. So they were about to shoot the first arrow, and the Arjuna, one of the Pandavas, the third of the Pandavas. So there is Yudhishthira, yeah, there are five of Pandavas. That's what it is. Panda means, Pancha means 5. The third of the Pandavas, he says to his charioteer, his charioteer is Sri Krishna, the incarnation of Sri Mahavishnu. He says to him, please bring me to the point where I could see both the army, because I wanted to see who is fighting against me on this first day. Because as I was mentioning to you, he was fighting against his own family actually. So the people on the other side is none other than his own cousins actually. And that means that it's not only the cousins, his sister's husband also fights on the other side. For example, their teachers fight on the other side. Their great grand uncle also fights on the other side. So everybody who is family is fighting on the other side, and the Pandavas are fighting on the other side. So he has this. He wants to see what's happening in that battlefield. So he asks his charioteer to bring him right in between these two armies. So basically, what happens is that when you want to when you're fighting with yourself, when you're kind of fighting with your own self, it's better to take third person's perspective. You come to the center, you come out of yourself and look at yourself in a third person's perspective. I'm fighting with myself. This seems to be the right side of me, and this seems to be the wrong side of me. And if that is going to be the case, so the best way for us is to take a step back and then see what are we even doing this whole story is about. It could be the why worldly bad things happens to me. It is a very good fight with us. I'm a very good person, for example. That's what we like to believe, and all the wrong things happens to me. For example, this could be a battlefield actually. I'm playing a victim, for example, could be a battlefield. I'm a lot of things happens, and I'm only a lot of bad things. So if you play the victim, you play the right side or the wrong side, you're never going to have a possibility to look at the other side. But if you wanted to see the whole, what is the whole battle is about, you have to come out and see in the central, neutral, third person's perspective. This is what was portrayed when Arjuna wanted to come to the center of the field, and he wanted to see both of his families. One is his own brothers, and the other one is his cousins. Basically, in modern times, in older times, you know how Indian family are. Cousins are more important to us than our own brothers and sisters. So this is the inner fight and outer fight. It's like a, how do you call this? It's like we are comparing the inner fight with the outer fight. So we are fighting with our own self, our own flesh, our own blood, and also so when it is the case, it's better to come out of this story, take the neutral position, and listen to the words of God. So these words of the God that you will listen when you're fighting with yourself is Gita. Yeah, understand? So the Bhagavad Gita is always considered, is always recited, it's always heard when you have a moral dilemma, when you have a dilemma whether this is right or this is right, when this is wrong or this is correct, you know, and you always have this moral dilemma, you go back and then you ask, I'm really sorry, my dear friend God, I surrender, and now I take your words as how to go about. Yeah. So this is my interpretation. What do you feel, and how because you might have heard the Bhagavad Gita interpretation, the head interpretation. Yeah, I would like to hear your side. Yeah.
Well, I think like especially like hearing at the first, because it is like, okay, I'm going to have to go up and battle against my family. That brings up a lot of stuff around morality, right? And I think like a lot of people would even get stuck on the first chapter. Like, why would I even go further to question that? Like, if my family on this side, I'm not going to go. But then it goes back into that duty. So it's like, you really sit with that. Even that, it shows like how much morality is already there, you know. But and also that it's like that Arjuna and Krishna, that Krishna can also be that within ourselves, that it's not external, but it's like that we in ourselves also have both of those elements within us, and it's like quieting, like you're saying, so that we can actually look at it objectively. Yeah, but I feel like we could even talk about that like another day too, even the objective versus the subjective mind, right? Like that we perceive something, and then it goes through our different senses, our different experiences, and then we come out and respond to it. And so that's really the lens that we're seeing the whole world from, and that's what Arjuna is seeing as well as he's going through. He's not actually like saying, he's seeing it through, oh, this is my family, this is the experience I have with them, and then his response is coming out through that. But he's kind of reprogramming this other knowledge.
Yeah, because the thing is that when for example, the dilemma of Arjuna, the first chapter's name, for example, is the dilemma of the Arjuna. This is how the first chapter is the name of the first chapter. We will discuss about this the next one. For example, what he projects as a future, what he thinks as a future, is basically a recycled version of his past. So he was not able to think anything new. So he's only doing the recycle. What he wanted to project for past. So he is only projecting his past recycled into his future. He is thinking that, okay, when I do this is going to be the outcome, because there is this brings him to delusion, because he is a small piece of lens trying to converge the whole sun actually. So he was not able to see anything beyond this delusion. I am the one who is going to fight with these people. I'm going to be the one who is going to be these people. So basically, what not only Arjuna, what we all we are doing is that when we are thinking about a future, when we are projecting a future, we are not basically projecting a future. We are projecting a recycled past, or an imagined past, or a repurposed past actually. And that's why instead of new things happening to us, we see a pattern of the old things happening. You know, the patterns of the whole thing keeps popping up, because we are not having anything new to. For example, if you have to build, for example, you built a building, for example, using timber, for example, you're bored with that house, so you are taking the same timber and you're constructing the next house. because you're using the same timber which has been cut like the same house, everything has been done like the same way. The windows are of the same size, the door is of the same size, everything of the same size. You take this and then you put it, assemble a building in the future. It basically looks like your past. Maybe because of the change, you change the color of the building from pink to green or something like that. So when we keep recycling this past, what we end up with is a past and future, and then we are so bored of that past because we already know that we don't want that future. So we are like jumping from past. Basically, we are jumping to the past. Actually, we're calling it future. We're calling it into the evolution. We're calling it evolution. But again and again, we are coming back to the cycle. We're trying to go back, and this is, I was mentioning about the circular nature of the Mahabharata. So when instead of going circle, even if you put one millimeter inside, you go the spiral, and that when you go to the spiral, you go somewhere deeper inside. So when you're not doing that, you're like, you feel like you are moving. It's like this animal. I don't know what the animal in the big circle. She is really running fast, and then she thinks that she's going somewhere, but she's running on the circle. I don't know what, I forgot the name of this animal. The
So
pet that
maybe
they have.
you're on the hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel. Yeah. So we are repurposing our past. So this is where the delusion comes into play, actually. Yeah.
Well, and I think that actually sums it up beautifully, just for just this episode, even of setting context that that he's about to start the war, and he's coming back, and he's actually Krishna is here saying, like, basically Krishna is his interruption to that cycle that he's continued to be in. And so once he interrupts him, Krishna's going to have all this different stuff come up, and that's what's going to come up through the Gita.
Yeah. And I think when we are going to stop, when our regular life is going to be stopped, either due to COVID or something like that, a lot of things like this comes up, because we are not aware about how to react to a situation like this. Because we know when X happens, I'm going to do Y. For example, when there is suddenly minus X happens or something, for example, COVID, many people were not able to cope up with this. That's one of the reasons they are very stuck, because they don't know what to do. They don't know because this is a new thing. They don't have an experience of doing this. So people are sad and those kind of things. So I think when somebody else stops, like we call the hands of God or nature, whatever you wanted to put the name to that one, then all our anxiety, all our social pressure, all our delusion of an amazing future stops. And then we are completely like, oh my goodness, what I'm going to do now? The whole world is coming to an end, and nobody is giving me anything, because we are kind of used to expect things from others. So I think the present situation is like this war zone. So we are there, like, and it's nature or COVID or whatever we wanted to call it has put a break to our pattern, and then suddenly we are completely lost. We have no idea what is going to happen. We have no idea what is going to think. I think it's like it is in this context that Bhagavad Gita is just perfect for this present moment, actually, because this is against an internal external war. Yeah.
And it's like questioning that we think that this actually broke this broke something that we're already doing. But what if it's actually just helping us get out of the illusion that we were already in? And what if this is the interruption? How do we actually purposely choose this as the interruption?
Yeah. So that is the point I think our viewers should think of, and then introspect on that, actually. So if this is the necessary break that I was looking for, why not it is a break that I was looking for? It's been wrapped not in the style that I wanted. For example, we always think that there is some person in a white horse comes and goes to rescue us. Instead of that one, it is come in a different it came in a different way. I think our viewers should introspect on this and give us some feedback, so that I think next discussion can be on this point. Yeah.
Great point. So depending on how this is landing with you, we'd love to hear in the comments, or just shoot us a message about how this is coming up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine you are in this point, and please introspect, because the whole purpose of this Bhagavad Gita is not to transmit, which is a poetical sense, because poetical sense is everybody can read and everybody can interpret it. This is a conversation with yourself, and you have 2 years, 4 years waiting to hear from you. So so please send us a message, and so that we can talk about it next session, and we will continue from there. Yeah. What do you think? Good.
Perfect.
Super. Thank you. Thanks for joining. I'm Bala from Auroville, Pondicherry, India.
Thank you. This is Marina. Thanks for joining us, and
So,
we'll see you again.